Schedule 1 is a smash hit. It dropped on Steam March 24th, and no one expected it to be one of the most played and streamed games that exist in 2025 and has maintained that for about 2 months at the time of writing. With a gameplay loop that is easy to catch on to and a silly topic that allows for things like anti-gravity, huge heads, or spontaneous combustion, in hindsight, it's not really a surprise that the game was destined to be a huge success. It got me wondering though, why do so many games like this succeed when for the most part, I'm just basically living a normal human life with a couple added variables. I clock in, I do my regular tasks, I manage my finances, I buy houses, toys, I ferociously gamble away all of my money when I should be taking care of my family. I play games. The point is, the gameplay loop is just like the loop of life. And when I play these games, it almost makes me feel bad, because if I put the effort that I'm putting into the game into real life, I would probably be able to do a lot of good while touching real grass. The issue is, they are way too dang fun. I pointed out that the game is a lot like life. A normal day in a game such as TCG Card Shop Simulator, comparable to Schedule 1, really doesn't have that much variation to a normal day at a Target electronic worker's job. I can speak because I was him. I would go to work, stock the shelves of electronics and toys, check out consumers, sometimes taking a second to play with the toys or talk to other people on shift to make it more interesting, and check out the new drops of whatever I was collecting at the time, normally being Pokemon cards or Funko Pops. I then call it a day and collect a paycheck. The game of TCG is simply to go in, stock the shelves, rip open some packs so you might have some high-priced cards to sell, check out consumers, and call it a day and collect profits. These are practically a perfect mirror. But the only issue is that when I do this in a game, it's way more fun. I'm able to delegate tasks that I don't like doing to bot workers that I feel little to no remorse for, since they are not human and don't hate their minimum wage job, and I can simply skip the parts that I don't like of this job and do the parts I do like, instead of juggling a social life and doing things other than working to stay fit or keep relationships. Instead, I just get to do the fun part forever with little downside. This creates a sense of high freedom with low responsibility. It's almost like when you were a kid and you really wanted to be an adult, because you get to do a ton of fun things, make money, drive whatever car you want, and not go to school. But when you get older, you realize that going to work just substitutes for school, and driving wherever you want is super nice, but without the finances, you can't get very far because gas costs money. In games, you really don't have to manage all that, which creates the highs without getting into the extreme depths. This undermines the loop of life and creates something entirely unique, and if you add a couple of extras, it makes it even better. You know what can make your life even better though? You liking and subscribing to this channel, or following me on Twitch, because I talk about lots of different topics, play lots of different games, and invite chat to normally play with me. So check it out down below. Adding extra fun elements to these games takes them to the next level. One thing that really stands out to me about Schedule 1 and why I believe it has captured such a larger market than most of these games similar to it is that it's based on something that in most states in the US and most countries around the world is illegal: dealing drugs. Most people view this as a practice that is something lower than them, mostly because it isn't alluring to be risking your neck for a living and trying to flee the law. There's also a stigma against doing this exact thing. When you're young, you hear phrases like, "Don't do drugs, kids." And that's something that sticks with us and makes drugs almost this mythical item that you are not to touch under any circumstances. At some point, most of us cave in and try something, considering roughly 1/2 of the population has tried marijuana, though less than half of the United States has it legalized for recreational activity. We still see it as taboo and not to be spoken about often, but by giving us this playground of these items, it creates a sense of mystery, like you shouldn't be doing this, or it's wrong in life, so you have the curiosity to do it in game. This is why I believe one of the first things kids do when getting on GTA is either run someone over or go to that club. It's practically a rite of passage for new gamers to do this exact thing and push the limits of what they can do in a game. This exponentially increases when you start adding things that are actually impossible to do in real life. Schedule 1 will allow you to sell a bud that makes your customer start floating in the sky with a ballooned head, and they are guaranteed to get addicted. So you know you will get this interaction again over time. It keeps you invested because you're wondering what the next combination of items will create. It could create a bud that forces them to be pancaked because it adds extra gravity, or turn them into a Smurf. How could you know these things without doing it yourself? I know you're thinking, you could probably look it up, but knowing which concoctions and how to make them do these things makes you want to do it even more. Or go show your friends that what you did to make it seem more mysterious that you knew how to do that, and they didn't. There's so much mystery, all for a game that on a good day costs $16.99. Most people in this world do not just want to play a good game. They entirely get engrossed in a good game. You know that feeling where you're forgetting what most people are saying to you because you're planning out your next 5 moves in a game that you're interested in and are going to be playing tonight. This is the exact feeling that these type of games give. You're a business owner and you actually have to plan out what you do, and there are consequences that will make progression harder if you don't follow the game's intended flow. Imagine if you were to buy a full expensive outfit in Schedule 1 instead of paying employees. Well, now you're back to growing your own plants and cleaning your own trash. You have to do some planning and think of the next couple of steps. This can range from thinking of concoctions to make your plant more addictive, or like the example I stated before, planning your finances so you don't cause yourself a bunch of extra unneeded work. With this hyperfixation in mind, the buy-in and low buy-in to this game, you are easily able to get engrossed without even realizing that you are engrossed. From your perspective, you paid $17 for this game, and there's little to no downside from it. Schedule 1's case, you may have noticed that the release price of the game was $20. When the owner and solo dev of this game saw that his game was gaining traction, he, instead of raising the price, discounted it to $16.99, like I said earlier. He knew the value of his game was a trendy indie game, and by making the buy-in smaller, he was able to create a super fandom that was hyper-fixated and hyper-connected to see what the next mix did. There are people that got in at this price point and have put more hours into this game than most people put into AAA titles. Many would argue that's because of the state of games right now, but also, it's because of the strategic play and low buy-in that causes hyperfixation that actually shot it into stardom. There are little repercussions to losing this game. If you lose, you can always regain, and the price of the game reflects that entirely. Losing $16.99 is much better than losing $60 or even more now that AAA games cost more if they flop. You have no real loss in life but time, and most people have a lot of time to spend. There's a reason why there's a whole category of games that are literally called time killers. Schedule 1 is not a time killer, but it mirrors real life and it allows you to spend your time with a very low buy-in of $16.99. The real full reason I believe these games take the world by storm so often is because of how hard real life can be sometimes. Whether you are in high school getting bad grades and sentenced to tutoring and attentions galore, or a middle-aged man with a wife and family that need a lot of time and money from you. The allure of these games will never quit to amaze me, since if we took half the time and mind space we spend on these games and applied it to the harder parts of life, nothing would really seem hard. Life is all ultimately just one big game, designed by a creator the same way this game was designed by a dev. The only thing is, life is hard and gaming is easy, and we as people will always gravitate to easy. Today's verse of the day comes from Matthew 21:43, and it goes as follows. Therefore, I tell you, the kingdom of God will be taken away from you and given to the people who will produce its fruits. Like, sub, follow Jesus, follow Twitch. Bye.